Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. We have a story here about Ian Blackford, and it's about his personality. And he's admitting that he's got this pompous personality, but he's saying it's not him. He's not that person, and it's all an act. And he's saying that because the SNP didn't want his normal personality. Now, there's two takes from this. Number one, he must be a hell of an actor. If that's an act, you know, give this man an Oscar. And secondly, and this is what gets me, is how bad must his real personality be if he thinks this is an acceptable alternative? Wow, it's a bit of a self-own there, Ian, don't you think? We will go in and have a look. But he reckons he's a lot nicer than he comes across. I don't believe it. I just really don't believe that he is. He was for many years a banker. That tells you all you need to know. He's something very similar now. Doesn't begin with a B though. Anyway, we'll take a look at this, see what's going on, to see why he says that he's not actually a pompous prick. Despite all the evidence, I suspect. Here goes. So, Ian Blackford says Pompous Westminster persona was just an act and that the SNP didn't want his, quote, personality. Does he have a personality? Who knows? Probably does. He probably does. But I've got to say, honestly, how bad must his personality, his real personality be if they felt that this was better? The soon-to-be former SNP MP has said that his Westminster battles were heavily scripted and that his team of advisors didn't like it when he went off script to show his personality. Well, why am I having a problem believing him? Is it because he's realised that he's come across for years as a bit of a pompous prick, and now that he's got to go back in the real world and hopefully have someone accept him as a real person, he's like, oh shit, what have I done? What have I done? Why have I made myself out to be looking like this? Ian Blackford has claimed that his over-the-top appearances at Westminster were an entirely scripted act after being faced with accusations of being a bit pompous. A bit? Former Westminster SNP leader, known for a pantomime character, known for his pantomime character during his leadership time, he now says that was his personality, very poor writing here, that his personality was moulded by SNP staff who forced him to stay on script. Now, I do believe that they do get scripted. I do believe that the policy wonks will be saying, say this, under no circumstances say that. You can mention that if the time is right, but don't push it. And they will have these discussions about, the direction they want to go. So I absolutely believe that. But I don't believe that they've forced him to change who he fundamentally is. Speaking during an on-stage Fringe interview, why is everyone at the bloody Fringe here? Anyway, Mr. Blackford said he once pleaded with an SNP staffer to at least try and pretend he had any influence on what he would ask at Prime Minister's questions, but he was knocked down. And before stepping down from his leadership role to be replaced by Stephen Flynn, Mr. Blackford was front and centre of the pensions misinformation scandal and was widely condemned for his backing of sex pest Patrick Grady, or as we like to call him, Sex Pest MP Patrick Grady, because that's how you have to say it in that tabloid voice. During his time as leader, he said he was surrounded by an entourage. Nobody trusted him. Nobody would let him out on his own. That's why. But his backing of Sex Pest MP Patrick Grady was always problematic for him. In the show, interviewer Ian Dale asked Mr. Blackford, in the chamber, I'm not sure you gave your real personality and the people accused you of being a bit pompous. Mr. Blackford said, the simple answer is that you're moulded by those around you. In fact, they didn't like it if I started to show my personality. If I tried to crack a joke and say something funny, they would say, don't do that, just to keep the thing straight, don't take too many interventions. Which I love doing. He said, but keep it focused on what you're supposed to be saying. They really couldn't trust him. I think because being a banker for all those years, they suspected him, I suspect, of being right-wing. Pro-SMP, pro-independence, but at heart, very right-wing. At least right-wing on economics, put it that way. And it's entirely possible to be right-wing economically and left-wing socially. I mean, that's where I sit. I mean, I'm a centrist. I take fairly centrist views, but I'm slightly left of centre when it's people, and slightly right of centre when it's money, because people are important. But you can only help people if you've got your money right. And there's no point being completely left on the money and then bankrupting yourselves. That doesn't do anyone any good. So slightly right on the finances, slightly left when it comes to people. And I think it's a fair mix. He says, I remember when I became leader, I consciously decided I was going to have quite a number of people around me. A chief of staff, a head of comms, a head of digital, head of research, a policy wonk, and so on. It was an entourage, but I trusted all of them, he said. But what used to happen with Prime Minister's questions is that the whole thing was scripted. It's because it's all about trying to get the clip and all the rest of it. Yeah, soundbite. It's soundbite politics. And the trouble with soundbite politics is they sound good, you know, when you get in that 30 seconds on the evening news. But they don't really achieve anything. And they often don't answer the question that you actually need answered. You have one opportunity to ask the Prime Minister a question. But you're trying to be clever and do it, and then you end up not getting the answer that you need. He said what used to happen with Prime Minister's questions is that the whole thing was scripted, because it's all about getting that clip. He said what I would sort of say is what I want to do. We discuss it. They'd come up with a form of words, and I would change it. But you do get yourself in. Sorry, he said you do get yourself in a position where, on a number of occasions, they wanted me to do something, and I said, no, I'm not. I'm not doing that. This is what we have to do this week. But then you're under pressure because you come back into the office and it hasn't worked. And then you're the one who's to blame. Well, you're the one who's the MP. Of course it's your blame. Who you've appointed is your own business. Anyway, the Skye-based MP also hinted at plans to swap Westminster for Holyrood when he quits as an MP at the next general election. And to do that, he's going to have to turf out someone in the SNP who's sitting in Holyrood. Who's going to willingly give their place up for him? Here's the thing, anyone who lives on Skye, do they have a Greggs? It's just an interesting question. They may not even have one. If they've got one, do let me know. It'd be interesting to know that one. Genuine question. Not mucking around, genuine question. Anyway, Mr. Blackford said, I'm standing down from Westminster. I'm standing down as an MP. But let me put it this way. There's still life in the old dog. I think the old dog's past it. And it's a bit sad. And he's going to have to go over the Rainbow Bridge at the vets pretty soon. The 62-year-old, I can't get over that he's 60. He's only 6 years older than me. He's had a hard life. But then he said he's no ambitions as things stand. He said he was having discussions with Hamza Yousaf as to exactly what role I would play to assist. Ham roll, cheese roll, casserole, arsehole. Anyway, I'm going to round off and come up. Now, I will be fair and say I do completely believe him when he says that everything he did was controlled by the policy wonks, because the SNP are centrally controlled. Nobody says anything, nobody does anything that it hasn't been pre-vetted from the very, very top. They daren't show their personality, they daren't show individuality, because it is it's almost like the Politburo controls everything. That's who they are. They're completely totalitarian and centrist, and so you're not allowed to go off message, or you get in trouble. You know, you're in deep trouble. You'll have this and you'll have that, and and you get the withered stare. Sturgeon used to give the old basilisk stare if someone said the wrong thing. Hamza Yousaf doesn't have it in him, so now, of course, that's why everybody in the party is just going off and doing their own thing and saying, meh, let's do this, do that, don't care anymore. They don't have that control. But until recently, that was always there. Anyway, we shall leave him alone. We shall move on to the next story. But thanks very much for watching this one. Do please hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Very, very helpful to the channel. It helps us grow. It helps us get the message out. So please hit that subscribe button. I work very hard, and I do hope that today and this video is the one that's earned that subscription. And until next time, stay safe, stay well, and remember, Ian Blackford, coming to a community near you. Bye.